Hi, I'm Jeanne Kelly, and I'm joined with today Rod Griffin, the Senior Director of Consumer Education and Advocacy for Experian. Thank you so much for joining me today, Rod.
Hi, Jeannie. Thanks for having me. Always glad to be here.
I know that you said you have a big announcement, so I want to start off and find out what you want to announce.
Well, today we announced earlier this morning that Experian and our counterparts in the credit reporting industry are making credit reports available free once a week for the next year through annualcreditreport.com. So you can check your report once a week, no cost if you want to do that. And it won't affect credit scores in any way. So as we go through this, staying on top of the report is really important. So we want to help people do that.
That is exciting. Oh, once a week. That is huge news. And I hope everyone definitely does it because, it's so important. I'm always saying, look at your credit report. That's my number one tip all the time. So to know that you can do this instead of just once a year for free, every single week. This is amazing. And you're doing this for how long?
For a year. So
awesome.
For this time next year. So
this is awesome. That's great. Thank you so much for that. That's exciting news.
Yeah, it's something that will, if we can get people to look at their reports and check, we can work together. And I think that's kind of the key for this whole crisis is how do we work together with each other and how do we help people connect with their lenders and stay on top of the changes. So going to be really important.
That is amazing. Amazing news. And why do you think it is so important to have a good credit score?
Yeah, a score and a report. Man, you and I talk all the time. The two go together. And with a good credit score, it means that you will have access to lower cost financial services, greater access to and lower cost to get other services. So things like potentially cell phone service, when you get that phone, they are not cheap these days. So, if you can get lower down payments or lower deposits, same thing with people don't think about. If you're leasing an apartment, getting a lower security deposit potentially because your scores are strong. Getting utility service set up might have a lower initial security deposit to set them up. So having good credit scores, which means having a good credit report, can save you money. And it can help you gain access to other lower cost financial services. We believe that help you break cycles of predatory lending. So having a credit report and score to work for you can mean you're not stuck with payday loans or title loans or the kinds of things that can be hugely costly and prevent you from getting access to a better financial life.
Yeah. And I know when I had bad credit, this is what led me into the industry. But when I did, it was so painful because you're paying more for everything when you need it the most, but then you really learn that. I mean, it was a hard lesson to learn, but I never wanted to go backwards because it was just, everything was so expensive. So once you're, having that good report, no matter what score is looked at, you just focus on that report to make the best of whatever score it is. So yeah, absolutely. And then what do you suggest when someone's building credit? Like, how long does it take for the first account to go on your credit report?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of key to understand. You do not have a credit report until you have credit in your name. So you have to have an account open. Once that account is open, if you go to your lender and apply and they say you're approved and you do a little dance of joy, and then you wait about 30 days because they don't typically report the account until the end of the first billing cycle. And that's because there's a payment to be reported at that time. Until then, there's nothing to really report. So usually takes about 30 days for an account to appear in your credit report. After that, credit scores still need to see some activity. So even though there's an account in your report, it might be another 3 to 6 months potentially before that account will be part of the score calculation. So it takes a bit of time, but when you get approved, it takes a bit. Yeah, so just patience. It'll take about 30 days usually.
Yeah. Okay. And why is it that certain creditors or collection companies do not seem to report to all three bureaus. So people, a lot of times we see different information, obviously, on all three reports, which means different scores. So why is that?
Yeah. And it's because our credit reporting system is voluntary. The Fair Credit Reporting Act that governs our industry nationally does not require lenders to report to us. It says if a lender chooses to report, here's what you have to do. And it says you can report to one or two or all three. It's the business choice. So you may not see a lender, particularly if it's a small local bank or regional bank, they may choose to report to just one or two. Most report to all three today, especially the larger lenders, but
Right.
they don't have to. And so as a business decision, they may choose not to.
And it is amazing. People cannot believe that when I tell them that. But so that is so good to hear from you. And then also tell me, because it's all over the place, so explain more about the Experian Credit Boost.
Yeah, Experian Boost is a tool that is free to consumers, and it lets you have your positive cell phone payments, positive utility payments reported to Experian by giving us permission to access the account you pay it through, your bank account, in most cases savings account, checking account, and I believe credit cards now. We just made some updates, so you may be able to have it. It's important because in the past, goes kind of that, why don't all lenders report? Well, cell phone companies, utility companies haven't traditionally reported to us either. And so if you didn't pay them on time, you might see a collection account or negative information, but you didn't get credit for the positive payments. We thought that it was important to show that people who are managing their cell phone payments well, their utility payments well, get credit for that, because we've studied it. It shows that a person who, even though they may not have a traditional credit account or long credit history, if they're paying those other bills well, they're probably a good credit risk. And so Experian Boost lets you have control over having those positive payments reported. And so if you go to Experian.com/boost, you can learn how to do that. Again, it's free. You give us permission to once a month access your account payment, your checking account, savings account that you pay those bills through, and we'll add those to your credit report like a positive account. And so you'll see your scores get boosted in most cases.
Yeah.
Not everybody,
Okay.
about 2 out of 3 people will see an improvement.
And also, what score would that be part of then, with the the items that you added onto your report?
So it's not limited to just one score. It will affect any score that incorporates or that information is fed into. When you start with Boost, you'll see a FICO 8 score right at the beginning. Once you've gone through that process, we'll show you your FICO 8 score again, so you can right away see the improvement. For most people, we're seeing about a 13-point increase on average. For people with thin files, meaning fewer than 5 accounts, about a 19-point average increase. So it will be pulled into any score that pulls that data into the calculation. So Vantage scores 3.0, 4.0, most FICO scores, not all of them, but certainly the newest. So FICO 8, FICO 9, FICO 10 will as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. For long-term goals, do you think FICO would ever calculate it in the mortgage score? And do you think that'll ever happen for a goal?
I think there have been some changes in the mortgage industry. I think first is important to understand, and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have actually said that you can, as lenders, use other scores. So they're open to that. I think as that evolves, I think the mortgage scores will be updated. They'll use newer scores. So in time, I think so. I think it's going to take time for the industry to change, but eventually, yeah, I think it will.
Yeah. Okay. That is so great that you can have control over that part of the score with adding that information. And again, where can you go to find that?
Yeah, it's really simple. Experian.com/boost. And you can learn more about how to do that. And you're right, it's permission based. So if you decide you don't want to, you can tell us to stop. And
that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. And now, if for the last question, if you had to focus when you were building your credit on one thing, what would it be? What's your number one tip?
Oh, Jeannie, that's a hard question. There's so many. I think first and foremost, oddly, it may sound odd, get the credit report. And so because you can't do anything about it until you know what's in it. So don't be afraid to get that report. It's free. Now it's free once a week if you want it once a week. So get the report, because that's the first step in getting the knowledge you need to change and manage it. So, I tell the story. The first experience I had with credit was a used motorcycle loan. And the banker left me standing at the counter for like 20 minutes, said, "I've got to go check your credit." And he came back and said, "You're approved." And I had at the time no idea what he went and did. So now I do. And so,
wow.
and then most of us didn't see the credit report. Now you can. So get the report. Tip 2, pay your credit card bills down, pay them off, keep the balance as low as possible. Usually if you're doing those two things, paying your bills on time, keep your balances low, you're going to have great scores and a great credit report. So know what's in the report. Don't be afraid to work with us. We want you to.
That's awesome. And really, thank you for sharing the news about once a week. That is exciting, really exciting. Thank you so much for joining me today, Rod.
Jeanne, thank you so much as well. Anytime, I'm always fun to talk.
Okay, bye-bye.
Take care. Be safe.
Okay, bye.